The New York Times is reporting that ISIS is operating an enormous internal sex trafficking network involving thousands of captured Yazidi girls. The Times reports that perpetrators are taught that rape is not a sin, but condoned and encouraged as long as the victim is not Muslim. The report is entitled The Theology of Rape. There's even an established infrastructure to support the movement and sale of thousands of sex slaves, which in turn is used as a tool to recruit fighters from deeply conservative Muslim communities. The horrors of the Yazidi people at the hands of ISIS began last year, you may recall. It was August of 2014 when ISIS fighters attacked village after village around Mount Sinjar in Iraq, home to tens of thousands of Yazidis, a religious minority ISIS regards as heretics. As men were routinely executed, more than 5,000 Yazidi women and girls were abducted, according to community leaders speaking to the New York Times. Of those, more than 3,000 are still reportedly being held. For more, we go to Washington, where we're joined by Manal Omar, Associate Vice President of the Center for the Middle East and Africa at the U.S. Institute of Peace and author of Barefoot in Baghdad. Thanks so much for being with us. I'm so sorry about the subject that we have to talk about, but it's horrifying. The New York Times basically says explicitly, this was a campaign planned well in advance for women to be bought and sold like captured cattle. They were photographed, they were numbered, they were cataloged, and they were moved around to where they could be bought and sold again under contract. You follow these horrors. Did experts, did activists know the extent of this?
Yes, I mean, we have been talking about for many years about the use of rape and sexual violence as a weapon of war. In fact, that's why the UN passed Resolution 1860 in 2008, which really emphasizes that this is a weapon of war. And a year ago, with the capture of the Yazidi women in Sinjar, we were highlighting this. I provided a testimony in front of Senate, actually really talking about the vulnerability of these women who've been captured and the high probability that they were being used as sex slaves, not only to demean this society, which is part of the strategy and the tactic, but also as a way of earning income and bringing in recruits for ISIS.
Now, I don't want to minimize this, but rape has been a curse of war for centuries. And it's no surprise that women are victims in war in the 21st century. What is so appalling, even more appalling in this context, is that it has gained, in some sense, the approval of religious authorities so that soldiers feel they're doing something righteous. They're doing something religiously condoned. They pray, they rape, and then they pray again. How offensive is that to Muslims?
It's absolutely offensive, and I would say it has not gained any legitimate religious scholarship that would say that this is okay. In fact, everyone has come out overwhelmingly condemning it and absolutely not only offended but horrified that religion, any religion, let alone a religion that preaches peace like Islam, would be used to justify it. I think what's frightening is this isn't the first time we've seen this. We saw this in the Darfur campaign when the Janjaweed were trying to use a religious argument for raping women in Darfur. And as you remember, Darfurian women were also Muslim, so the framework was forced marriage versus rape. The Islamic State has taken it one step further in actually using the word rape and still using a religious framework. But unfortunately, this has been something that we've seen. And again, it is a tactic of war. It's not only assault on women, it is a strategy to really break a society. What we're not hearing about and what we're receiving from a lot of our contacts on the ground in Iraq is that they're also targeting little boys. And it is a very strategic way of frightening any society. The moment the Islamic State enters, you're seeing automatic surrender from fear of these type of activities.
Now, 3,000 women are said to be somewhere, still dispersed, still in ISIS' hands. Is there any coordinated, concerted effort to find and free them?
Not that we're aware of from the international community. There are several very brave local civil society organizations within Iraq, predominantly based in Erbil, who have been trying to find these women, who've been providing them shelter. But as you know, the local initiative is just very limited, and so there hasn't been any progress or any way to really be able to identify where these women are located, where they're being trafficked, or how to help, besides very unique individual circumstances.
It's a horrifying story. Manal Omar, thanks so much for talking with us about it.
Thank you for having me.